here. This comes this comes. Okay, we just have to. Oh, hey there, guys. I really did not see you there. I mean, literally, I was so into my work. I was just trying to find a theory for the theory of everything, and also trying to discover the Hawking radiation. Yeah, that was me. Fine, I'm just kidding. It was Stephen Hawking, one of the most brilliant and celebrated scientists ever. Now, if you've been living at the bottom of the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean and you do not know who Stephen Hawking is, let me just tell you. He was a scientist who was diagnosed with the motor neuron syndrome at a young age. And it was diagnosed that he would only be living forward for 2 more years. But by chance and fortunately, that did not happen. So he continued with his studies and he ended up discovering one of the most mind-blowing theories ever. It was a theory of everything, or at least he proposed an actual theory that might just be true. And he also discovered the Hawking radiation. Now, if you do not know what the theory of everything is, the theory of everything is basically a theory that states that all-encompassing physics and everything in the universe can be broken down into one theory, and it's the understanding of all types of physics, including quantum physics and classical. I'm not going to get into all of that, but it was a major discovery. For any scientist, you can go ahead and ask them. They will tell you about the theory of everything. So Stephen Hawking had discovered this along with the Hawking radiation, and he was a truly brilliant mastermind. Now, he and his daughter, Lucy Hawking, have written a book. And you guys know me. If I see a book that is so valuable, I'm just going to go up and grab it. And it was not a fact-filled book. It was an actual story book. Because fact-filled books, let's face it, can get a little bit boring. But anyway, this was a really interesting book filled with actual facts, but not interrupting the storyline. So let's jump right into it. In June 2006, it was announced that Stephen Hawking and his daughter Lucy Hawking were going to release a book which is just a simple way to explain different theories to young minds, which was how Stephen Hawking, he kind of framed it. And he wanted many different people to understand the theories, but he expressed them in a very simple way. Talking about the cover design, it is beautifully illustrated, and it does have illustrations, let me just tell you that. And good illustrations, not weird ones. So, I'm speechless, but I'm just going to say that you're not going to get bored while reading this book. So Stephen Hawking has filled all of his information on black holes or the Hawking radiation and mashed it down into a form so that even children can understand it, and let alone adults. Of course they can understand it. So let's jump right into the review. The story revolves around a young kid called George Greenby. Now, if you want to pronounce it as Greenby or Greenby, it doesn't make a big difference. So the peculiarity about George is that his family are like eco-warriors, not the ones who are ready to blow up something, not that kind. They go out on campaigns telling how much we are using up the Earth's resources and all of that stuff. So George's parents do not believe in using scientific gadgets and all types of lights, electronics and phones by the way which I am recording with. So you can imagine how tough George's life must have been. But for something that you have never had, you cannot miss it. So George's house had just one telephone, which they felt was essential. And other than that, there was no extra electricity being used. The electricity was naturally generated. So George had never been exposed to too much scientific stuff. So he was scared. He had been told a story by his parents that the house next to them used to live an old man and he had disappeared. And there was something horrifying going on in that house. But George had to move out of his own house and go to that house because his small pig had climbed over the fence and all the way across. As he goes in, he sees that there's actually a family living there. So there's a girl called Annie and her father Eric. Now, since George had never actually been exposed to science, that house was filled with wonders. There were like stacks of books and papers and lots of different gadgets thrown across. So when he actually found his pig, Annie's dad, Eric, showed him, like, if you rub just try to generate some static electricity on a ruler and you bring it towards the water bends. Then he explained to George why exactly that happens. And to George, it was all fascinating. And he found it actually pretty interesting. Like many people would want to use all of this for their own greed and trying to improve themselves. But he found science actually interesting, how it is actually supposed to be. So he met Cosmos. After pledging that he would not tell anybody anything about this computer, Cosmos is a real life talking computer and one of the world's most powerful supercomputer. So Cosmos has the ability to transfer people from actual Earth all the way to space, creating a time portal. So you can just as well say how magnificent his abilities are. So Cosmos and Eric show George how a star is born all the way till its death, but not all those actual billion years. He fast forwards the entire tape to show George exactly how a star is born, grows, becomes to its maximum pinnacle of its heat and all, and finally explodes in a supernova, sometimes creating a black hole and other times just gone. Or maybe breaking down into a neutron star, which you do not know. So George found all of this super interesting, and Eric promised to keep explaining if George kept on coming. So at that moment, George became very good friends with Annie, and George went back home. Now, Annie was an adventurous girl, so she told Cosmos to open a portal to space and took George with her without Eric's knowledge. Hope you're grasping all of this. Now, they are in space, and they're traveling around the planets while they are being sucked into Jupiter's storm. If it's clear, I'm not really sure, I don't really remember. But they face a calamity because they are going through an asteroid belt. And somehow Eric manages to save them thanks to Cosmos. After that, since Eric could not tell George's parents that the real truth about Cosmos, so he went and told George's parents that he had been playing with a computer and it broke. So George was grounded for a long time. Now, here we introduce a new character. In George's school, there is a teacher called Dr. Graham Reaper, or Dr. Greeper for short, as everyone used to call him. Now, he was a scary teacher, a strict teacher, and a very annoying teacher, as every one of us has experienced. But of course, he used to teach nicely, and overall, students looked up to him. But the fun fact was that there's a very hidden history between Dr. Graham Reaper and Eric, Annie's dad. So basically, to give you a very short explanation, not telling you the whole spoilers of the entire book, Graham Reaper wants to get his hands on Cosmos. Now, here comes the fun part. George comes to know that Dr. Graham Reaper is evil, not directly but indirectly, in a way that he kind of makes that assumption himself because of the way Reaper keeps behaving, like asking George where Eric has gone, delivering letters to Eric's house, trying to spy on Eric's house, all of that stuff. So George attends many different lectures when Eric is meeting up with a science committee to decipher how we could live on Mars. Now, Eric finds a letter by somebody who had come to that meeting. And that letter states that so-and-so place is a place where humans can exist. The entire idea of all of these scientists is to find a planet fit enough for humans to live in the case that humans actually start becoming extinct, that Earth is unfit for habitat, you cannot live there. I jumbled up my words, but you get the point. All the way across space, there is one planet that is suitable for humans to live. And that letter was asking Eric, giving him the coordinates of the planet, and telling him to go and check out that planet. So George kind of recognized the writing, and he knew it was Dr. Graham Reaper. So it could not be something good. So Eric still has gone through the portal, and he gets sucked into a black hole. Now, a black hole is basically after the supernova takes place in a star, it sometimes, very rarely, it creates a very strong gravitational pull, and even light cannot escape. And do not think I'm like super smart saying that, that is elementary school knowledge. So it just sucks up everything, and soon planets, stars, everything gets sucked into it, and slowly it keeps building until it becomes like a super massive black hole. Now this is where the most important theory of Stephen Hawking comes into play: the Hawking radiation. Yes, it has been explained in a way that even children can understand. In this book, it is portraying that Eric has written a small book compiled for Annie and George, explaining that it is possible to get out of a black hole. Now, if you did not know that, give a like to this video now. So that is basically the whole story of this book, and I'm impressed. I'm literally impressed. And Stephen Hawking has filled this up with so many facts that I believe that I knew, but I didn't at all. Basically, I had no knowledge about black holes before I read this book. All I knew that they take place after the supernova, and even light cannot escape. That's how strong the gravitational pull is. And the more they take in, the more mass they build. The more mass they build, the more the gravitational pull increases. But I had no idea about this Hawking radiation. So if you want a book filled with facts, filled with adventure and illustrations, I must say I have never actually done that many descriptions of a book together. Usually it's just illustrations and stories. But if you want a book like this, this is the book for you. And of course, it is an amazing series. So it's not just one book. It continues for a very long time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it very helpful. And I would love to see your support by clicking on that like button. There's no forcing, and you can always remove that like. Anyway, please guys, drop a like on this video. And this time, if you click the subscribe button, the HTML code says it's going to disappear, because I've coded the entire script of your page right now like that. So if you click on the subscribe button, it is going to disappear. Try it now. So anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. Now I'm off to discover some different theories. Probably the theory of relativity, or maybe the theory of everything. I don't know.